Okay, now so far we've talked about this. Oh, okay. From a will I use the word from a top echelon point of view. I'd like first to come down to the average Nigerian who has the power of his voter's card. What drives his decision to decide who his leader will be? But we'll do that right after we return from this short break. Today we've been talking about Nigerians and the big question whether we deserve the leadership that we currently have. Dr. Mefor has been having this conversation with me and it's been quite enlightening. Let me use the expression, I've gone back to history school or history class, and then on the issue of history being taken away from our curriculum, that's subject for another day. We need to really look at it, but that's not what we're focusing on today. So before we went on the break, you were talking about people in position of leadership, especially, let me call them, the people high up in the political strata. Now let's talk about the individuals. Let's talk about the everyday Nigerian, the person with the voter's card. What do you think informs his decision when he's picking his leader?
I still think that the same factors that apply to the top still applies as well to the bottom.
Okay.
And but for us to understand how this really pans out, how it culminates into what we now see as the political culture of the country, the political behavior of Nigerians. Let me avert our mind to what the Greek philosophers said about the people you find in the country. They said you have three categories of human beings that inhabit any space you call a country. They said, a large section of the people you see, you can call them tribesmen.
Okay.
When you say tribesmen, it covers so much, including religion.
All right.
They are saying that tribesmen are people you find in a country driven by that primordial sentiment, that essentially has to do with their origin, where they are coming from.
Okay.
Religion is certainly part of it, because, in terms of culture, even in psychology, we define culture in terms of material and immaterial. And language is number one. In other words, culture of a people fits, dovetails into what the Greeks look at as tribesmen mentality. You get the point?
Yes.
You will find religion in it. You will find ethnicity in it. You will find every other factor that would make you limit your worldview to where you are coming from.
Yes.
Now, I say that another category
Yes.
of people you find in a nation is a category of people they use the term, which may appear derogatory. They call them idiots. But they explained that the term idiot they used to categorize this large section of people you find in the country.
Yeah.
It's not really used in a derogatory sense.
I see.
It's used to explain a large group of people you find in a country who don't think even about where they are coming from. They are thinking only about themselves. Me, I, and myself. Right? If they want to extend it at all a bit, they may bring in extended family and friends, who old schoolmates, old roommates, you know. If he's in a position to award contract, issue of competence, ability to deliver, will certainly assume a secondary seat. They are looking at, you know, how to benefit themselves. These are the people you find in what you call primitive accumulation of wealth. In psychology, there is a kind of accumulation that we see as a psychiatric problem.
Can you throw more light on that?
Yes, you know, an accumulation that borders on psychiatry. That is, you are gathering things you will never need.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? You go to Dubai, you find Nigerians that bought buildings, you know, on a whole street from the beginning to the end. Maybe he has visited that street just once and is holding the papers, the title deeds and all that. That's stupid accumulation. He is exporting jobs because capital flight is an integral part of it. The money you would have used in addressing developmental needs of the country is now flying out through this kind of mentality to countries where they are better utilized. It's the same across board. Now you have a very tiny, you know, group of people in the country to complete the three categories. They are called citizens, and they are less than 10% in Africa, and even much more less or lesser in Nigeria. What that tells you is that in Nigeria, those who are in opposition in government, in positions, however small or big, that by over 90% of the time are either idiots or tribesmen.
Okay.
What this also tells you is that those who are actually in government to develop the country, to, you know, make life better, are less than 10%. If you bring that to leadership recruitment process, the masses down there at the, you know, what you may call the bottom of the rung of the ladder are all captured in these segregations, because they are either idiots themselves, or they are tribesmen, or they fall into the less than 10% of citizens who are actually citizens who are there to elect people based on competence. It is the citizens that are looking for competence. They are looking for integrity. Let me even say this before I forget. Between integrity and competence, right? I've had people say that competence, Nigerians will look for competent people. Nigeria does not need competent leaders. Let me put it as blunt as that.
What do we need then?
I'll tell you. Wait, just wait. I'll tell you. In a presidential democracy, in modern existence, what matters, the bottom line, the foundation that will anchor anything you're doing, productivity, development, unity of purpose, and everything, is integrity. If you give me a leader with integrity but does not have competence, and give me a leader with competence but does not have integrity, I will not bet an eye before I pick the leader with integrity without competence. You know why? A leader with integrity will look for competent people and surround himself. We saw it under Obasanjo. We saw it under Yaradua. We saw it under Jonathan. They shopped for Nigerians that are competent from all over the world. Do you see why competence is not the primary concern? Look for a leader with integrity. In fact, he will grow. He will become competent. Because as long as he's a good learner, and he wants the job to be done is there cut out. You look for those who will do it. Buhari does not need to be all-knowing. Doesn't have to have the wisdom of Solomon and the intellectual capacity of Einstein to govern Nigeria well. What he needs, if he has integrity, is competent Nigerians. Surround himself with competent Nigerians. Give them 2 years, Nigeria will break even.
Wow, interesting. Okay, now so this is where we are at the moment, with that very scary statistics of saying that we have less than, even way less than 10% of citizens in Nigeria.
Yes.
Is there a way to reverse this trend, or are we just, headed for doom?
No. We are not. You see. No. You see, I'm not a doomsday, prophet.
Yes, but if we continue in this path, it will only get worse.
No, that is the meaning of education.
Okay.
That is the essence of education.
Okay.
Democracy is work in progress. It's not a dash, it's a marathon. You need to keep engaging. Election in Nigeria is getting marginally better, don't you think? Election in Nigeria under Professor Maurice Iwu cannot be said to be the kind of election we had under Jega.
Sure.
At the risk of whatever, I see Iwu's elections as the worst in history. When he was in Abuja here announcing results while the election was still taking place in some places. Do you get that kind of election?
Yeah.
But integrity of election is growing marginally. It's not exponential yet. But I believe that if we keep at it, right, through greater, what you call voter education, refining our laws, to be at par, to be in sync with what we call global best practices. For example, our elections must embrace electronic system. You know why? Results are cooked between the polling booth and collation center. So if you want to imbue Nigerian election with integrity, all you need to do is to remove that gap between collation, collation and voting. Once you are able to bridge it, and the surest way to do that is to introduce electronic voting. You know why? If you are familiar with Excel as a package in a computer, programming, as you are inputting your figures, you are seeing the result immediately. So if INEC, for example, wants to be sincere and insist on electronic voting, before they announce the results, Nigerians, through their INEC master server, know who has won. You know why? Because the votes, as they are cast in the polling booths, are reporting on the master server. And all the political parties have access to it so they can monitor their own performance.
I see.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
That is the certain way to imbue Nigerian electoral process with integrity. If you don't do that, you haven't started.
Why has it taken us this long to go?
It has taken us this long because President Muhammad Buhari, didn't want it. That's the truth. I say so because, the bill was sent to him 2 or 3 times, and each time he will point out something. The last time, he said there was no time to even implement it. Do you understand what I'm saying? He preferred a manual process for his own re-election. Maybe he wasn't too sure he would win.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
But President Muhammad Buhari will, write his name in gold if he gives Nigerian electoral process integrity by signing the electoral bill that will introduce electronic voting into law. It has lapsed. The National Assembly is dilly-dallying again. By now, that law ought to have been reenacted and brought it before the president. We are giving the president another leeway to repeat his claim in 2019, right? That there was no time to implement. If it happens the second time, when it happened the first time, I blamed President Muhammad Buhari. But if it happens now, I'll blame the National Assembly. Because 2 years down the line, down to the presidential election, they haven't done anything. As a matter of fact, the 2023 presidential election is less than 2 years. Because going by the electoral timetable brought out by Professor Jacob, the chairman of INEC, the presidential election we hold in February
The 18th.
of
23 years.
2023.
Yes.
That's less than 2 years. Because we're already in May. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the amended Electoral Act is not on the table in the National Assembly. So who is fooling who? Maybe then the president wasn't comfortable with it. This time around, it may be the senators who want to return that are not comfortable with it because they have all perfected how to rig election. They don't want to return democracy and power to the Nigerian people. I ask people in PDP who say that their slogan is power to the people. I say, which people? The people you have disenfranchised? You have no internal party democracy. That happened in the primaries and insert names of the people you want. You say the power is with the people. How? Anambra election is going on now. Do you know how much gubernatorial ticket for Anambra is selling for in the PDP? It's over 20 million. I don't know if you understand what we're talking about. The same thing for other political parties, and you turn around to say power is with the people. When you have systematically removed the people from the process of determining who becomes their leader, their choice, the choice of the people, may not have money.
True.
26 million or more to buy a ticket. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you have that kind of humongous amount as the figure that somebody will have to pay to buy the expression of interest form of a political party, and then buy the nomination form proper, what are we talking about here? The people are not involved. So what we need is to return power to the people. And because power is not served a la carte, right? The people themselves must wake up and claim their position in the electoral process. If they don't do that and expect that the politicians who are influence and power merchants, Nigerian politicians have no second business address. Do you understand that? Politics is their business. Are these the kind of people you want to rely on to return power to you? If you tell the PDP now about their constitution on zoning, they will tell you that they are talking of the winning formula and not zoning. But their constitution, the PDP constitution as amended in 2009, has written into it rotation of power between North and South Nigeria. And yet, PDP is telling you that they have not decided where to zone their presidential ticket. But do you know that going by their own constitution, it is not optional? Because since Northern Nigeria, North Nigeria has delivered the presidency for 8 years, going by that convention and even PDP's extant a constitutional provision that power must rotate between North and South, their ticket irreversibly goes to the South. What it will be in contention would be which zone in the South.
South. Okay.
And not that the ticket is headed south, because it's written into their constitution. And in far southern Nigeria, I will advise them, if PDP continues with this their monkey trick, they should challenge that provision in the court.
Okay.
Yes, they should challenge that provision in the court. If they zone their presidential candidate a ticket to North, after North has done 8 years, it's against the express provision of their own constitution. If they want to change that, they must first amend that express provision of their own constitution.
All right, before we wrap it up on the show today, we're going to be asking a very vital question. Now, I've asked how we can cascade this information or this, how do I put it now, this principle you've discussed to the common man, the person with the voter's card. Before now, what we have always seen was a case where stomach infrastructure comes to play. So a person is just interested in who can satisfy me now. A person is interested, like you have described, the tribesman principle comes to play. My person, somebody who can give me something now, and they tend to vote. I would like for you to say a thing or two to Nigerians out there about that mindset. We have less than 2 years to decide who's going to run Nigeria for another 4 years.
You know, Nigerians need to know that power is what you make it. The people do not know the power they have to decide who governs them. It is inherent. The people can rise and say that this is what they want. It was recently demonstrated in the NSAS protest. Supposing the NSAS protest, was pushed further into a political movement, it would have been reminiscent to what Emmanuel Macron did in France. Emmanuel Macron shunned the 2 major political parties in France and started a political movement. Today is the president. That can be replicated in Nigeria. Nigerians must understand this, especially Nigerian youths. Nigerian youths, they need to know that they don't need to sit out there, wait in the wing for a government to succeed or fail. No, because if people get the leaders they deserve, if you don't want PDP, APC, form another party or hijack one. You can hijack PDP or APC because we have a youthful population. But our youths are not moving in that direction. I have a lot of faith in Nigerian youths. They have done fantastically well in 3 areas: in music, in Nollywood, in ICT. If other sectors of Nigerian polity and economy have done half as these 3 sectors have done, Nigeria would have exited the poverty belt. And in Nollywood, in ICT, in music, 80% of the people that drive the process there are Nigerian youths. They are bright, brilliant, bold, intelligent, pushful, sociable. They are people you can't cage, but they have something not going for them, which they must discover. There is no national platform. You don't have North Nigeria youths working together with South Nigeria youths. That demarcation, that disarticulation has been there. In the NSAS protest, you saw that it was halted by the Northern youths, who gave it the interpretation that it was a protest against Buhari, it was a protest against the North. So it's a task they must find a national platform. If they are not able to reach a national platform, they cannot have a national agenda. It's a task before them, but as for competence, they are competent. They are capable. In fact, some of us are not too old. We are there to work for the Nigerian youths.
Okay, that's quite encouraging.
We are there to help the Nigerian youths,
okay,
day and night, to take over their country. Victor Hugo said that you can stop an invading army. You can stop natural disasters, but you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. The time for the Nigerian youths to take back their country is now.
Wow. Thank you so much. With that charge, we'll be tying it up onto this edition of the New Nigeria Show. I've been talking to Dr. Mefor. He's a social psychologist, among other things. And today has been quite an eye-opener. And I really hope that as you watch this, not only do you learn from mistakes of the past, but you also take out some of the wise counsel that Dr. Law has shared with us this afternoon, not only as a Nigerian youth, putting first not just your stomach, not just your now, but thinking about the Nigeria that you would want your children to grow up in. What role can you play? Albeit small, what can you do to ensure that you put your best foot forward into ensuring the Nigeria that your children will be proud to call home is made possible in your time? Thank you once again, sir.
The pleasure is mine.
My name is Uju, and I will see you some other time on the New Nigeria Show. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Good afternoon.